Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time of day you may be watching this. I'm Krista from Happily Human, and just my rant of the day, something that came up last night when I was at work. One of the girls was just talking about, someone was just saying that, that she was looking for a man, basically. And one of my coworkers suggested this guy who was 26, and then proceeded to ask her, well, how old are you? And she said, well, I'm 40. And then this just brought in a whole conversation and a whole lot of opinions from people about dating someone. Well, we ended up talking about dating an older guy, even though this was the opposite conversation because she was the older woman. But we got into talking about dating someone significantly older than you, and how the general consensus was that you shouldn't date someone older than you because, when they age, when the man ages, then you're taking care, like their health starts to deteriorate. And looking at like this big long like futuristic, like if you make this decision right now, you're doomed for the rest of your life because one day that person's going to age and get old. Like not taking into consideration that can happen to anyone at any age. You can be the same age as the person you're with and their health can still deteriorate, way before yours, or some tragic accident can happen that, makes the person need significant amounts of help, no matter what age it is. Anyways, I just thought it was so funny, but what I did was I very much resisted to the conversation because I just thought it was outrageous that it was even happening. And so what I'm here to talk about today is interesting point of view. Because had I just been an interesting point of view, I wouldn't have had to resist or react or align and agree with what was being said. I could just be total awareness of what was happening. So I talked about this book, The 10 Keys to Total Freedom by Gary Douglas and Dr. Dane here. And chapter 2 is the second key to total freedom. And I just want to read a little bit out of it for you. So Gary says, first of all, let's talk about point of view and awareness. A point of view is a position from which something is observed. It's a particular way of looking at something. A point of view is different from awareness. Awareness is seeing what you can see and not having a point of view about it. Otherwise, you may be trying to create something that may not exist. So Dane says, the definition of point of view is contained in the phrase point of view. It's the point of view from which you view something, which means you can only occupy one place in the universe at any one time. You can't be in multiple places. When you take a point of view, you eliminate space and compress it down to one point, which is where you create limitation because you cannot be aware of any other choice, possibility, or contribution. You're not functioning from questions. So I've talked a lot about your barriers, and those are what create barriers, is all these points of views. So Gary talks about this book, Stranger in a Strange Land, and in which there were people called fair witnesses. And so someone would ask a fair witness, what color is the house? And these fair witnesses were prohibited from drawing conclusions about what they observed. So the fair witness from the place he was standing could see two sides of the house. So he would say, on this side of the house, it is this color, and on this side of the house, it is this color. I cannot assume a point of view about what color the other sides are. Unlike the fair witnesses, most of us make assumptions in our lives. We look at two sides of something and we assume the other sides are congruent with what we've already seen. There's a point of view we impel ourselves to take as though by assuming that this matches this, it's awareness. It's not awareness. When you take a point of view, you cannot have all-encompassing awareness. All you can have is a point of view. In this reality, you can align and agree with a point of view, which is the positive polarity, or you can resist and react to a point of view, which is the negative polarity. So if I had aligned and agreed with the conversation going on last night, I would have then been like, well, I'm wrong. That's what aligning and agreeing is. Either you're taking on that point of view, or you're making yourself wrong for it because this group of people has that point of view. Therefore, I'm wrong and they're right. Or then there's the resisting and reacting, which is the negative polarity, which is what I did, which was thinking that they were wrong in their point of view and that I was right. But neither of us was actually right or wrong, good or bad. It was just all a point of view. So either one, aligning and agreeing or resisting and reacting, gets you caught in the stream of everyone else's trauma, drama, upset, and intrigue and gets you washed away. You're not perceiving and receiving what is. And I really like this example just to get you to see the differences. So let's say you meet a homeless man on the street and he asks you for money. If you do alignment and agreement, you might say, oh, this poor unfortunate man, it's just awful that he's on the street. Maybe I should give him some money. If you do resistance and reaction, you might say, look at this guy. He's a bum. Get a job, buddy. When you are in interesting point of view, you neither align or agree with a point of view, nor do you resist and react to it. You would see a homeless guy and say, well, that's an interesting choice. You don't get swept away with the trauma and drama. You are the rock that keeps everything in order around you. When you do interesting point of view, the stream of life comes at you and goes around you. I lost my part here. Yes, so when you do interesting point of view, the stream of life comes at you and goes around you, and you're still you. And the homeless guy usually won't ask you for money. When you aren't an interesting point of view, you get caught in the stream of this reality and get washed away, and you lose you utterly. So this is why this is such a good key, because we lose ourselves to interesting point of view because we're aligning and agreeing or resisting and reacting instead of just functioning from a place of total choice and total possibilities. So just for you to get an example, think of something that gives you a rise, something that makes your blood pressure rise and makes you feel like you're gonna burst. Get a situation or just something right now, think of that makes you full of resistance. And then getting that feeling, say, interesting point of view, I have that point of view. And see how that feels. Does it get a little lighter? You have to say it a few times because these points of views have become part of us. Interesting point of view, I have this point of view. Again, interesting point of view, I have this point of view. An interesting point of view, I have this point of view. And eventually it takes the charge out of it. So say this to everything that comes your way that gives you a rise, or when you're finding yourself going into a wrongness because a group of people is all thinking the same thing, so they must be right and I must be wrong. Well, interesting point of view, they have that point of view. Interesting point of view, I have that point of view, that they have that point of view. It's all just an interesting point of view. And if you can function from interesting point of view, boom, such freedom. So practices. Put sticky notes up, whatever you need to do to remind yourself anytime you're aligning, agreeing, or resisting and reacting to anything. Interesting point of view, I have this point of view. Have fun using this tool. It's a life changer. and let me know what comes up for you. And I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good day. Bye bye.